Hey everyone, I finished watching the next Time Force episode, Frax's Fury. This was so cool, and a really good episode. Quite the contrast to the Street Sharks episode I just watched, which is easily one of the worst episodes of that show, and it's just a bloody mess. Whereas this Frax's Fury episode of Time Force is really good. Like everything, like I don't know. It's so interesting to watch these two episodes back to back. You see one episode where just like everything goes wrong, then this episode where everything goes right and comes together so satisfyingly. It's so good. Let's see. It starts off at Rancic's base. Frax is complaining to himself about the way Rancic treats him and the Cyclobots, and just then he hears Rancic calling him. He goes over. Rancic's mutation is progressing, and he's on the floor, his arms bubbling up or whatever. I need the serum! And Frax is like, the serum! And then just stands there looking at it while Rancic is over there screaming. Then Nadira comes over. Give me that. Here, Daddy. And Frax just watches on. And one of the things that's so cool about Frax is there's no expression on his face, or at least not a human expression. He has the one, or well, technically he does have two faces. He has his normal face, and he has the face when his eyes pop out, like a surprised face, I guess. Anyway, one of the things that's so nice is when Nadira looks back at Frax, she's like kind of angry, and then Frax is just standing there, and he can't make any kind of a face. He has like no tells on his face as to what he's thinking. It's a permanent poker face. So then later on, Frax releases a mutant from the X Vault, Venomark. Why can't I say Venomark? Whatever. Anyway, let's see. Venomark's power is he can bite people, leaving behind this bite mark that, let's see, and it causes symptoms similar to Rancic's mutations. So then, at the villain's base, Nadira goes over to Rancic. Hey, Daddy, your monster's doing great. Everyone's panicking. And he's like, I haven't released a monster yet. And I just love the way he says yet. So then, let's see. Oh yeah, it's Venomark, and he tells Nadira that he knows who Venomark. Oh yeah, and also Gluto seems to know who Venomark is and is scared of him. All right, we never hear what Gluto's story is. I'd be interested to hear how Gluto knows Venomark. But anyway, Rancic's talking about how years ago, or years in the future. This is weird. Time Force has a lot of like flashbacks that are flashbacks to the future. It's really weird. Anyway. Oh, and I say anyway a lot. I am still trying to fix that. Let's see. Rancic's telling Nadira about how he knows Venomark. Venomark bit him once. The end. Cool story, bro. Like, he doesn't say why Venomark bit him. Like, the way Venomark acts, I'd assume he just, like, happened to bump into Rancic. Like, maybe, like, Rancic's just walking around, and then Venomark comes over, and Rancic's like, oh, hey, you're a mutant. Want to join my crew of mutants? And Venomark's like, bite. Venomark's kind of just a jerk. Anyway, let's see. So Rancic's, lying on the ground, potentially dying from this poison bite, and then this guy comes over with a couple of Cyclobots, and he's like, we need to get him back to my lab. So then they take Rancic to a lab, he gives him this stuff that cures his, whatever from Venomark's bite, and then, let's see, Rancic is talking to the guy, Dr. Louis Frax. Frax introduces himself, and he's talking about how, oh yeah, Rancic asks him, why would you save me, a mutant, when you're a human? And he's like, oh, human, mutant, robot, it doesn't matter to me. It's all life, and I just like to be left alone and work on my Cyclobots. And Rancic's like, ha, Cyclobots are worthless. And he's like, agree to disagree. And then This is where it gets weird. Rancic, like, suddenly attacks Frax, steals the suitcase of serum. Oh yeah, and that's something. Frax tells him that he needs to keep taking the serum because with normal humans, it'll work. But for mutants, he has to keep taking it. So anyway, I don't really know why Rancic wants to attack Frax and just steal the serum. Because, like, if he kills Frax, then that serum has a finite supply. Like, does Rancic know how to get more? I don't know, maybe he assumes he can find a mutant who can replicate it or something. It's just a weird thing, and it just, as a kid, it made sense to me. As an adult, like, I've heard some people try to take this apart, saying it doesn't make any sense that he'd want to kill Frax at this point. But I don't know, I think it just shows how broken and warped his mind was at this point. That's my assumption. So anyway, he steals the serum, sets the building on fire, and laughs as he leaves. And then, back in the present, or well, 2001, yeah, Venomark's going around biting people, and then, let's see, the Rangers show up, they fight Venomark, and all the Rangers get bitten except for Wes. Wes is on his own against Venomark, and then suddenly Rancic jumps in and saves Wes, and Wes is really confused, and he's like, whoa, what's going on? And he sees Rancic is fighting with Venomark, and then, Rancic actually almost wins. Venomark isn't really that strong of a monster, he's just, like, he has a really useful ability that gives him, like, a really big advantage over other people. So then Rancic is about to win, but then his mutation acts up. He falls down. He's scrambling to get his serum out. He gets the serum out. He drinks it. Wes sees him do this, and he's like, huh, what's going on there? So then Venomark gets away. Rancic leaves. Wes takes the Rangers back to the clock tower. Meanwhile, Venomark is hiding from Rancic. And then Frax shows up and reassures Venomark, oh, just keep doing what you're doing. I'll take care of Rancic. And then, let's see. Oh yeah, back at the clock tower, Wes is taking care of the other Rangers, and he remembers that serum, and he thinks it might cure the Rangers. So then he goes down to where he saw Rancic take the serum. He finds the broken vial there. Good for him that Rancic, like, glitters. He takes the vial, and then he takes it. Like, I would have thought he'd take it to Circuit first, but whatever. He takes it to his father at Biolabs in the Silver Guardian headquarters. Are they both in the same building? Whatever. And I do really like this part where he goes to meet with his father. Even though him and his father, like, they don't get along, they don't agree on how to do things, but his father's so happy to see him when he goes in. I love it. His father looks up, Wes, and he's smiling, he's so happy. And you can tell that Wes isn't quite as happy to see his father. I guess, I don't know, Wes has learned that if his father is smiling and really happy, that it's probably best not to trust him at this point. Anyway, he tells his father about the serum, he gives him the vial, and, like, almost immediately, they've replicated it and they have tons of it ready to distribute. It's crazy. Imagine if the COVID vaccine was, like, that easy to make and distribute. It's ridiculous. Whatever. Anyway, Eric is helping hand out the stuff, and let's see, looking through my notes here. He's helping people, he's helping the Silver Guardians give out the serum, and suddenly there's this old woman who comes over, she needs help, he goes over, gives her the thing, and then suddenly Venomark attacks, and so he's fighting off Venomark, and then suddenly the Rangers show up too, and he fights along with the Rangers against Venomark, they defeat Venomark, and then Venomark grows, Megazord fight, he's immediately defeated. Okay. Oh, and I read on Ranger Wiki, some people wondered why the Silver Guardians don't help Eric when he's attacked by Venomark. I don't know. Did he really need help? Like, I mean, yeah, Venomark's a really dangerous monster, but, it was a really brief fight. So, and the Rangers show up almost immediately, so I don't know, maybe the Silver Guardians figured to stay out of their way? So anyway, there's that stuff out of the way, and now we get to, like, what a lot of people consider to be the best part of the episode. Rancic is back at his base, and he opens up his door, and then he sees his serum is all smashed to pieces everywhere. and then Frax comes in, and he's about to attack Frax because he's so angry, but then Frax holds up the last vial of serum that's still intact. Ah, ah, ah. And then Rancic starts to try to talk nicer to Frax. You're my friend, right? Now! And then Frax reveals to him who he was. He was Frax in the past future. Okay. And anyway, when Rancic burned down the building and almost killed Dr. Frax built a robot, and I've heard different interpretations of this. Some people think Frax is a cyborg because Frax is like putting the robot pieces on himself, but other people think that Frax is just a separate robot from Frax, or it's not Frax at all, but Frax somehow implanted his consciousness into the Frax robot. They're both interesting theories, and they don't really make it clear which it is in the show. The implication is that Frax is Frax, that he built the robot pieces onto his dying body. And so, yeah. And it also brings up the question, how did Frax and the Cyclobots end up working with Rancic? It's an interesting story that they never do go into, I don't think, in Time Force. I haven't watched it for a while, so... or the upcoming episode, so I have to look closely. I don't think they ever really explain that, but I'm guessing it's probably not too weird, like, after Rancic burned down the thing. Like, there's probably other Cyclobots around the city. I'm guessing Frax wasn't just building them for himself, he was probably selling them. And then, let's see, Frax, I don't know, the way Frax talks about humans, mutants, robots, it's all the same. I'm assuming robots must be like just a normal part of the future. I mean, in SPD, there was, what's her name? Sophie. She was basically just a normal person, and she was a robot. They say cyborg, but everything about her implies she's a robot. Whatever. So anyway, after Rancic hears Frax's story, he fires, but then Frax has disappeared, the last serum thing is smashed, and then the episode ends. Really, really good episode. Really love this one. Let's see. One of the things I really like about it is how unique the plot is. The monster of the day isn't loyal to the main villain. He's loyal to a side character, Frax. That's really cool, and also an interesting thing, the only reason Venomark has, like, any kind of loyalty to Frax, I'm guessing is just because he can't bite Frax. Frax doesn't have any, like, visible organic parts that he can bite. So that's a bit of a funny thing. Let's see. I really like tying in this mutant with Rancic's backstory. It's really cool, and I'm wondering how far ahead they had planned for this. Like, they must have seen this episode, or, like, they must have seen, like, a good chunk of the footage available from Time Ranger, and then built the whole series around it. I really wish seasons now could do something like that, because now, so often in the Power Ranger seasons, it feels like they either didn't watch the Sentai all the way, and they didn't have, like, a clear plan, so that when something happens that really should tie in with things, they just kind of overlook it, or they just botch it completely. Whereas this, everything felt so clever, and it all tied together so satisfyingly. Let's see. I really like the dark tone of Frax's backstory. That's a really cool thing that we really don't get anymore. We don't get dark moments in Power Rangers. And I'm sure someone will complain, argue with me that, well, Beast Morphers had a dark moment or two, and it's not the same thing. Like, when I think of a truly dark moment for Power Rangers, it's a thing that ruins someone's life. Like, this really became a thing, like, post-Zordon era, like Lost Galaxy onward, the Saban era seasons, each had, like, some kind of dark moment that I can point to, where, let's see, Lost Galaxy has the Magna Defender and his son. His son is murdered. Like, just straight up, his son is murdered. Lightspeed Rescue has Ryan being kidnapped by demons, raised by demons away from his father, and, like, even though he does escape, his whole childhood is just gone. his teenage years are just about gone. So yeah, his father, his sister, any other family members, they never got to know him at all. They kind of overlook this in Lightspeed, but the concept is kind of a dark concept. Time Force has this moment with Frax. Frax is essentially dead. He's no longer like the benevolent, nice character that he was. Now he's a revenge-obsessed monster. Wild Force is incredibly dark with Master Org's story, and I know I'm looking over. There's other characters that had dark stories, and after Wild Force, we didn't really get dark stories really that much anymore. Or like if we did, they weren't really portrayed that way. It was more kind of cartoony. Like in Ninja Storm, Lothor started out as like a normal person, but he was always kind of a jerk. So it's not too big of a stretch to think that yeah, he turned into the bad guy. I can't really think of any other really dark moments in Ninja Storm. Feel free to tell me in the comments if you think of any. Um, Dino Thunder, Mesagog, I guess, kind of. I can't remember. Does Anton Mercer actually like live at the end? Does he die? I don't think he dies, does he? If he does, I guess that's kind of dark that like he like old Spider-Man villained himself into a monster and then died for it. But I don't think he died, did he? I don't remember. Whatever. SPD, I don't know. I can't think of anything. Mystic Force, like I guess Nick having to be sent away could be seen as kind of dark, but it's more like just a fantasy trope, which is what a lot of Mystic Force was leaning into. Overdrive, Mac's worldview has changed when it's revealed, spoilers, he's an android. But, I don't know, that's not really... Like, it's dark in the moment, but then, like, essentially it's not really a dark thing, because his life is still the same afterwards. It's just his perception of it is changed. But, I mean, he still has the memories he made with his father. I mean, those aren't completely fake, and his father knows what they are, so it's not like they're entirely untrue, whatever. Jungle Fury, I don't know. RPM, kind of. Yeah, RPM had dark. I can see why fans call RPM a dark season, considering what we got previously in the Disney seasons. And then, like, Samurai is the last season I could think of where there was, like, truly a dark moment with Dayu and Decker's backstory. After Samurai, we really didn't get dark moments in Power Rangers. Megaforce, Super Megaforce didn't really have any kind of... Like, they barely had characters. Dino Charge was a really, like, light-hearted series. The only thing that was, like, really... was that they basically destroyed the world at the end of the series. Whoops. And they never fixed it. They still haven't fixed it. That's annoying. Ninja Steel... Um... Like, again, that one kind of similar to Lightspeed, although Brody being taken away from his family and raised by alien monsters doesn't really seem to affect him at all, and if you missed the first episode, then, like, I'd forgive you for not even knowing that. Then, let's see, Beast Morphers, and now we're in Dino Fury, and yeah, we're definitely not gonna get a dark moment in Dino Fury. Like, I don't know, maybe, Void Knight's wife being corrupted by the Sporix. Then again, we don't really know much about who she was before. Maybe they'll be explained in future episodes or something, but for now, I don't know, it just feels like kind of a cartoonishly villain thing to be going on. What was I even talking about before? Oh yeah, dark moments and how Time Force was able to pull it off really well, and I really miss that kind of tone the old Power Ranger seasons had. We don't really get, like, big melodramatic things anymore. But, you know, whatever. Anyway, that's all for this one. See ya.